You know that fabulous life you dream about? The one where you are the best version of yourself and you are just happy, fulfilled, whole, you know? Just living your fabulous life. You have everything that you want. You know how you're going to get that? By leaving your comfort zone. Let me give you an example in my own life, okay? At the end of 2020, I got this nagging feeling to start a podcast. And I was absolutely terrified because I'm not like a huge social media person. Like, I barely post on my own private personal social media pages. So when I initially tried to do it after ignoring that feeling for 3 months, I tried doing it anonymously. Like, the first logo on the audio platforms was just a white background with a green Secluded Thoughts text, and I didn't even have my name on it. I just had the name as Secluded Thoughts. I didn't have my personal name on it or anything. And then I slowly rolled it out to the people I knew and shared it on my personal page, despite the slight embarrassment that I felt. But fast forward years later, I can tell you that I've experienced the most growth in my entire life because of this platform, literally. And it's not even, I don't even have like 1 million views or 1 million downloads yet, but I have experienced the most growth in my entire life because I had to face so many fears. I had to hold myself accountable in so many ways to show up and talk about the things that I talk about. And it requires me to grow every day in order to produce content because that's the type of things that I talk about. But I had to get out of my comfort zone, and I still have to get out of my comfort zone like every week to publish an episode, especially on YouTube. Like, it requires me to grow so much every day. And at first I didn't like it, but now I see that it's literally the most rewarding thing that I'm doing. It's the most rewarding part of my life, I feel like, because of all of the growth and because I get to literally see like how I've grown since I started the podcast in April of 2021. And it gives me a sense of fulfillment to know that I'm having like a positive impact in people's lives. But what if I never got out of my comfort zone? What if I never did that because I was too afraid, or I thought I was too shy, or that's just not the type of person I am? You would not be listening to me. Could you imagine? Tragic. I know. It's okay. It's okay. But the thing is, what I wanted at that point in my life was to do something that I felt was meaningful and was impacting people's life in a positive way. I felt like at that point, that's what my life was lacking because I was doing things and I had a job and, nothing was terrible, but I just felt like I wasn't doing anything that made me feel fulfilled. I wasn't doing anything that forced me to grow. I wasn't doing anything that I felt was purposeful. I felt like I was just waking up every day and doing monotonous tasks. And I wanted to do something fulfilling, but I had to get out of my comfort zone in order to do that. So my question to you is, what are you afraid to do? What aspect of your comfort zone do you know you need to get out of to do that thing that you really want to do? So let's talk about getting out of your comfort zone. Now, before we go any further, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Sensi, and on this podcast, we talk about taking accountability for your life to become the best version of yourself. One of the most important aspects that I want to touch on today as it relates to leaving your comfort zone is understanding that this is a very personal thing. Okay, this is not a one-size-fits-all approach. My comfort zone looks very different from your comfort zone because we are very different people, right? To some people who don't really care or think of social media that deep, who just post every day, post like random stuff, whatever, the idea of creating more content or showing up on social media or online more often might not mean anything to you. It might be relatively easy to you, but that was initially hard for me. Our comfort zones are very different. They look very different, okay? Please remember that, because I know people like to look at other people's life and compare apples to oranges, and that is a waste of your time. Okay, that is a waste of your time. It is useless to do that, because we are not on the same path. We are not here to do the same thing. We do not have the same life experiences. We don't have the same traumas. We don't have the same things that we have to get over. We don't have the same problems, the same strengths, the same weaknesses. We are different. So my comfort zone is going to look very different from yours. When you hear me say it was hard for me to start a podcast, that might not mean anything to you. But there are things that might be hard for you that would be easy for me, but it doesn't matter. I say all that to say, mind your business. Okay? It is very important to mind your business. You know what it is you want to do, and you know what aspect of that scares you. You know where you need to get out of your comfort zone. I just need you to focus on that for this episode, okay? Because everything you want is on the other side. I would have probably be living a very similar, monotonous, draining, unfulfilled life if I never started my podcast, because other aspects of my life would have looked the same. Like I would have, just been at a job, just been, living life how I was living it, and nothing would change. And I would feel very sad, very unfulfilled, very much like I'm wasting my life because I wasn't doing anything purposeful. Like we all need to feel like we make a difference, right? We all need to feel like we matter, like there's something we were meant to do here, and like we're here for a reason. It's when people don't really understand what they're meant to do, what their purpose is, when people feel like they're drifting because they don't know what they want to do with their life, they don't know where to go, they don't know which step to take. That's when people start feeling despair, depression, hopeless, etc., etc. So I was at a point in my life where I really wanted to live a purposeful life. And when I got that inkling to start a podcast, I fought it so much because it would require me to step out of my comfort zone too much. I felt like I did not want to do that. That's not who I am. But I'm so happy I did. I'm so happy I did, because everything that I wanted, I got from the podcast. Like the internal feeling that I wanted to feel like I was doing something that I genuinely enjoyed, that was positively impacting people's life and made me feel fulfilled. I got all of that out of doing my podcast. And like I said, I grew so much. It forced me to face so many things, to heal, etc., because I can't come on here and talk about self-improvement and accountability and I'm not working on those things in my own life. You see what I mean? So I have grown so much, but I would have never experienced any of that had I stayed in my comfort zone. That's why I'm making this episode, to encourage you to get out of your comfort zone. And it's not even just in like your life and your purpose and fulfillment and stuff like that. There could be other things, like for example, and I'm calling myself out on this one too, okay? But mind your business. Mind your business. But I've seen so many posts on social media like Instagram and TikTok saying, how do you expect to find somebody when you stay in the house all day? Like, do you expect somebody to just come knock on your door? I mean, ideally, but like not like the mailman or maintenance or anything like that. Just God, just make him knock on my door. I'm sure that that's how all of us feel, but it's like your home might be your comfort zone, right? Relaxing in bed or relaxing on your couch or whatever you do at home, that is your comfort zone. You have to leave your comfort zone and get out there to actually meet somebody, right? I am not really a strong proponent of the dating apps. For me personally, I struggle as it is to respond to people that I know and like. I don't think I can do the dating apps because I might not respond in a reasonable amount of time. And also, I just feel like I tend to get along better with people in person versus over the phone because, like, right now, I don't even know where my phone is. Like, I'm not glued to my phone all day, so I know that wouldn't work for me. Okay. And it's not a comfort zone thing. I just prefer things to be organic. So I would have to leave my comfort zone of my home, my lovely home, and get out. And you might have to do that too. Okay. Unless interested in, like the maintenance guys at your apartment complex or whoever, if that's your thing, that's none of my business. But you'll have to leave your comfort zone, which is your home, and you'll have to get out. The same thing with making new friends. You have to leave your comfort zone and put yourself in different places, in social environments where the opportunity to meet new people is more likely than you staying home, right? We all know that as an adult, it's a lot harder to make friends than when you were in school, because when you're in school, you're in a controlled environment where you see the same people every day, all the time, and it's easy to just like start talking to them because you see them every week or 2-3 times a week in class. As an adult, good luck. Like, you have to be, unless you're very social, it's like you have to put yourself out there. You have to get out of your comfort zone and start going to more networking events, start going to more social events, start going to more organizational events. Like, get out of the house. Okay, just get out of the house. You have to do that. You have to leave your comfort zone for anything. Almost everything new that you want, everything worthwhile is on the other side of your comfort zone. And even with fears too, like, I've noticed fears are sometimes the reason why we stay in our comfort zone. Because let me see if I can think of an example. Let's say you fear rejection or something. I don't know. If you fear rejection when it comes to talking to people, that might make you less likely to go to these social events, because you feel like if you go and you go up to somebody, they could reject you, things could not work out. You have a fear of looking stupid. You have a fear of looking awkward. You feel like everybody's watching you, everybody's judging you, whatever it is. It's like sometimes your fear is the reason you stay in your comfort zone. But what I've noticed from facing my fears, from facing several of my fears over the years, is that it's literally just a state of mind. 10 times out of 10, almost every single thing, not almost every single time I feared something, when I finally faced that fear, what I feared actually happening never happened. It never happened. It was literally just a figment of my imagination. It never happened. But every single time I faced those fears, I got more confident because, it's like, I don't have these fears anymore. I'm doing what needs to be done. I'm getting things done. It's like I used to fear this for so many years and now I'm doing it. Like, you just feel so much better about yourself. It's like a new level of self-esteem and self-confidence unlocked when you face your fears. But literally, fear and worry is like anticipating the worst possible outcome of an event, the worst possible outcome of a situation. It's like you could leave your house and go and talk to somebody, try to make a new friend, and you can either make a great friend or a great acquaintance or somebody who gives you a reference for something that you're interested in, maybe a job, maybe a workout class, maybe another networking event where you could meet better people. Or they could just, I don't know, like size you up, walk away, and then you feel embarrassed, like worst case scenario. And we tend to think that the worst case scenario will happen. And that's why we don't do anything. But that almost never happens. At least in my case, it almost never happens. And even if it does, it's like, once you do it the first time, once you get it out of the way, it's like you can cross that off your list. Like, it's time to get new fears. It's time to start crossing these things off of your list. I made a whole episode, I think sometime last year in December, where I said, don't take your same fears and goals into the new year, 2024. Apply that on a monthly basis. It's like, if you've had certain fears for years or months. It's like, don't you want to get that out of the way and make space for some new ones? Like in life, there will always be new fears that develop. You will always, because there's new opportunities come along, new opportunities, new relationships, new circumstances. We grow. So you will have the opportunity to develop some new fears, right? Don't you think it's time to get rid of the ones you already have? I'm telling you, like, most of the times, the things you fear, they almost never happen. They almost never happen. There's so much fun. There's so much amazing memories. There's so much fulfillment. There's so much happiness and peace on the other side of your comfort zone. You are like starving yourself and depriving yourself of all of these amazing experiences because you keep anticipating the worst possible outcome. What you think you gain from being in your comfort zone, you are wrong. Okay, you are wrong. Let me just tell you, you are wrong. In fact, you might actually already be in a position to testify that you gain absolutely nothing from staying in your comfort zone. Because if there's something that you really want to do, but you've been putting it off, you already know the misery of the what if. You already know the misery of the I'm not living my life to the fullest. What am I here for? Why am I here? What is the meaning of my life? What is the purpose of my life? I want to do something that makes me happy. I want to do something that makes me feel fulfilled. You already know what it means to feel like that, right? Because that could be your state now if there's something you want to do, but you're just too afraid to get out of your comfort zone to actually do that thing. My thing is, the fear of the uncertainty, because a lot of times it's the fear of the uncertainty. The fear of the uncertainty that you feel like you don't know if it's going to work out, if it's not going to work out. I'm telling you that the misery you will feel is a lot worse. It's a lot worse because in my experience, there's 100% chance it will work out, whatever it is. But you are letting your fear of uncertainty, you are letting the fact that you don't like uncertainty make you keep you in this position where you're staying in your comfort zone. But I'm telling you, it's not worth it. It's not worth it because I can tell you from my experience, even when I got out of my comfort zone and I did certain things and it didn't work out, two things. Number one, I got rid of the what if, right? I faced that fear. I gained a new level of trust and confidence and self-esteem in myself because I was able to put that thing behind me. I put that fear behind me. And the second thing is I eventually got like transferable skills, or like I learned new things that I could take into the next chapter of my life, the next part of my journey from that one thing. Like in my experience, everything builds on each other. It all builds upon itself. So even if you try something, that thing you really want to do that you're afraid to get out of your comfort zone to do, even if it doesn't work out, you will get the confidence, you will get rid of the what if, and you'll be able to use what you've learned from that experience as part of your next one. I'm telling you, they all build on each other. Like nothing is isolated. In the end, everything makes sense. Everything is connected. So it's not a waste of your time. You have to get it out of the way. You owe it to yourself to live a fulfilling life. Like I don't know where I would be, probably in an abyss of hopelessness and just wondering, why am I here if I never started my podcast? Like I get so much peace from doing this, even if sometimes I don't want to do it. Like today I didn't feel like recording. I'm not even I'm not even going to lie to you. Today I did not feel like recording, but I knew I had to because that's part of the commitment that I made. But still, it's like I genuinely like doing this. I genuinely like doing this. I genuinely like being able to talk to you and listen to myself talk because I'm, as an introvert, I'm going to have these conversations with myself anyway. Okay. Now I just have somebody else listening. But I digress. It's so important for you to get out of your comfort zone. Like you owe it to yourself to do that because the misery and the regret that you will feel long term is not worth it. Especially the regret. The regret comes from the more time you waste procrastinating and staying in your comfort zone. Because there are things in my life that I eventually did, and because you only realize things and how they're important in hindsight and never in the moment, or you can't predict it, I've seen how important all of these things were in my journey. I've seen how they've been part of the building blocks, but part of me at some points in time did wish that I did something sooner because, but only because of how I saw things in hindsight. But in the moment, it's like I had the misery, I had the regret because I was taking so long and I just had a nagging feeling of doing something. And it's like, if the idea is not leaving you alone, if it's on your mind every single day, every single time you see somebody doing that thing that you want to do, if you know it's not going to go away, you've had it for some time, the longer you put it off, the more regret you will feel because you're just letting more time go by that you're not doing that thing. And it's like, let's say you got the idea to do something 6 months ago or a year ago. You could have been a year in by now, like developing your craft, but instead you're a year into procrastinating, and that makes you feel regret. And I've been there, and I can tell you it's not worth it. It is not worth it. Okay, get out of the way, get out of your comfort zone. You owe it to yourself. Like what's the alternative? What's the alternative? You already feel the misery. It tortures you every day. You know what you have to do. Just do it. Find people who can hold you accountable. Forget the people who don't approve, okay? I think it was last week or week before I made a whole episode on your need for approval. I would highly recommend you listen to that because that is instrumental in why some of us tend to take long, because we fear the disapproval of others, or we want people to validate our ideas or approve of it. Go listen to that episode if that's something that you struggle with. But you need to get out of your comfort zone, okay? Find people who will hold you accountable to the best version of yourself, like me, like on this podcast. I'm telling you, there's probably an episode for like almost everything you can think of by now. And if there isn't, then you can go to secludedthoughts.com/suggestions and suggest a topic for an episode. And that link is also in the description. Run your own race, meaning focus on what you are called to do, what it is you are meant to do, or at least these inklings that you have of things that you know you need to do, the things that you've been procrastinating because you want to stay in your comfort zone. Run your own race and focus on that, and do not compare your comfort zone to anybody else, okay? I'm telling you, you need to mind your business. What other people struggle with might not be a struggle for you. That's no reason to judge them. And what you struggle with might be easy for other people. That's no reason to feel bad about yourself. It's all about you and your life and the growth that you are supposed to have in order to do what you are placed here to do, okay? Mind your business and get out of your comfort zone. So a few other episodes that will help you get out of your comfort zone is episode 60, You've Been Too Comfortable. Episode 101, which is Give Yourself Some Grace While You Grow. Episode 35, This Is Why You Think You're Behind in Life. That's the Run Your Own Race episode, by the way, episode 35. And then 152, literally last week, Your Need for Approval is Holding You Back. So I would highly recommend you listen to these episodes when you're done with this one. And that is all I have to say today, and I will talk to you next Sunday.